Welcome to Van Tate Sports Office, an in-depth look at the world of sports, featuring exclusive interviews with our KRQE News Sports Director, Van Tate, sponsored by Caesars Sportsbook at Route 66 Casino.
Sports Office is talking about basketball today. It's going to be a new era once they come back. Zach Settembre, ready to get it going and make it a winner. Zach, welcome to New Mexico. Well, you've been here for a while now, so how's it going over there with Highlands?
Thrilled to be back, Van. Really a great opportunity at Highlands. We have hit the ground running in recruiting, turning over every rock we can. Lots of work ahead of us. We have a tremendous amount of work to do, but excited for the opportunity. Highlands, as we know, New Mexicans love basketball, so it's a great opportunity to be a Cowboy right now.
And people wondering about your background. I mean, you've been to the state before working with Coach Hooten. You know, like you guys did that rebuild. That you were part of that staff to get that thing started. What do you remember about that? And is there some things that you learned during that time that you can use as you get ready to embark on this situation?
Sure. It's a very similar situation because we had to hit total reset. We had to rebuild the roster from scratch. So Coach Hooten and I met at the Final Four last year, talked about some guys that we thought could really move the needle for New Mexico State. Obviously, it was a bit of a cleanup process and a rebuilding process, but Coach Hooten, extremely hard worker. We were aggressive. We tried to find as many older guys to give us a chance to be competitive right away, and won 14 games and finished sixth, tied for fifth actually in Conference USA, but finished as the sixth seed. But great opportunity to learn from a guy that's extraordinary defensively, really good coach, intense, and knows how to win.
And you have a background in broadcasting, huh? You've done this before. If people are wondering, like, man, that guy, he gives great answers and he's just talking. Tell people with your background.
Well, first, I was fortunate enough to be the sideline reporter for my high school football team. So did that for 4 years in high school. Went to Syracuse University, graduated from the S.I. Newhouse School of Public Communications, and really knew originally I knew I was either going to coach basketball or I was going to be talking about it at the scores table. So I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. Basketball is very much in the blood in Kentucky, very similar to New Mexico, right? Kentucky, North Carolina, Kansas, Indiana, New Mexico. Those 5 states, I think, love basketball about as much as anybody in the country. So went to Syracuse, had a chance to be around the program there, was a manager for Coach Beheim, but always knew in the back of my mind, if we can communicate at a high enough level, we'll be able to sign exceptionally talented recruits, and if it doesn't work out, then we'll go talk about it in the broadcasting arena. What
did you learn from Coach Beheim that you use? I mean, even from your position that you as a manager there, what did you learn from him that you probably put into your technique, what you do with players today?
Yeah, Coach Beheim's brilliant, right? Extremely sharp, understood really quickly. He said, coaches, if we're going to be really good, we got to have better players than the other team. People talk about Coach Beheim's zone. The reality is we had NBA players, right? Deion Waiters, Michael Carter-Williams, Wesley Johnson had a 10-year NBA career. That staff was power-packed. Mike Hopkins, who became the head coach of the University of Washington, was two-time Pac-12 Coach of the Year. Jerry McNamara was a GA on that staff, is now the head coach at Siena. Rob Murphy became the head coach at Eastern Michigan and worked in the front office with the Detroit Pistons. So I've been really fortunate to be around some great basketball minds.
And like talking to you, I could tell that you were saying like I'm gonna have great players myself. How much has it been helpful to you to have something like the transfer portal while you're trying to build a team and make something nice?
It's great for us because in the old days, you had to start from scratch. You had to recruit freshmen. You had to develop guys. Now you can go out and get ready-made players, right? We've signed 3 Division I transfers in the last couple of days. We're excited about them. We're in a position where we feel like we're going to go compete for an RMAC championship from day one. But the portal is great if you make it that. You still have to ask really intelligent questions. You have to still listen more than you speak in recruiting because guys will tell you who they are and what they're about if you ask them the right questions in recruiting. Unfortunately, some of us coaches like to talk and we don't use our ears and our mouth proportionally, right? But we've got to ask the right questions, be really, really in-depth in the homework we do about these players because ultimately some guys are in the portal for a reason and not all of them are good. So we've got to be thorough in our research and our homework on these guys. But we feel like Highlands is a place that because of the passion for basketball in the state of New Mexico, because of the quality of basketball that's played in the RMAC, the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference, that we can go out and attract guys that can help us win in this league right away.
And you feel like I can get – you're not looking at, oh, this player, he was this great guy over here or he did this over here and he's in the portal. I don't have a shot at him because all the other guys are going to come. You don't feel like that. You feel like, man, hey, I want him.
No doubt, not at all. First of all, the worst anyone can ever tell us is no, right? Similar to the dating pool.
Yeah.
If you go up and ask a nice lady,
you gotta find out.
Yeah, exactly. What's the worst they can say? No. Well, that's where we started. If you get no,
Yeah.
The only thing that hurts you in recruiting is maybe. Yes is the best thing you can hear. No is the next best thing. But no, we'll be really aggressive. We're proud of wearing the purple and the white. We feel like Highlands University and the Cowboy name is a name that's going to be reckoned with in Division II immediately. We're going to be extremely unapologetic and trying to be the best program in the RMAC and the best program in the region right away. And some people may say, well, how dare Highlands think that way? We're going to be aggressive, and we're going to try to go get the very best players we can.
Well, your path has crossed against some great coaches, Rick Pitino being another one. Like I was just to clarify that by saying you played with his son. Played basketball with his son, right?
Yeah, grew up in Louisville, Kentucky while Coach Patino was there. But again, growing up in Kentucky, saw Coach Patino coach in Kentucky. Then it was Tubby Smith who won a national championship in year one. Billy Gillespie followed him, a guy I had a chance to work for 2 years at Tarleton. And obviously watching Coach Patino do his thing at Louisville was really impressive. Had season tickets to Louisville games as a kid. So grew up watching the Cards and watching Coach Patino have extreme success at Louisville. So Kentucky's we know basketball's in the blood there.
And his son, Ryan, you said, right?
Yeah, so we played middle school basketball together. We were both not very good. We both knew very early if we were going to be involved in basketball at a high level, it was going to be coaching or at the scores table broadcasting, right? So that's how it ended up here.
How did so the middle school, you guys weren't shaking people down, going man, you weren't showing up to the gym with your baller shorts on and breaking people down, man?
No, the Catholic School League in Louisville, Kentucky, not great players, okay? We'll just say that. So highly competitive, but for guys that had no clue how bad we really were, right? It was a very small world in the Catholic School Athletic Association in Louisville, Kentucky. But, man, it was fun. We got great memories. We won on a buzzer beater in a tournament to advance to the championship game as 8th graders.
That was your shot.
Yeah, it wasn't. I was the guy on the end of the bench. No, I was. Everybody needs a 13th man on the end of the bench waving the towel, and Ryan and I were right next to each other doing that. No,
you guys were taking shifts. I got the towel for the first 10 minutes.
Exactly.
Okay.
We were the bench mob before the bench mob was fashionable, right?
Well, but sitting there watching the game and maybe occasionally getting in, that got you ready for this.
Sure. So I knew really early, like we said, coaching was going to be the ticket. But even when I was playing intramurals in college, people would say, Zach, why are you not in the game? Because I want to win. I have a competitive disorder. We're trying to win. We want to expedite winning, and that means me sitting here and trying to help you guys execute what's going on the floor, not necessarily trying to put the ball in the basket. But coaching is something that I've always loved to lead. The passion for coaching and leading and having those relationships. Obviously, we know transformational relationships is what makes coaching special. The reality is in Division I, things are changing some. It's more transactional now than it's ever been. It's becoming a much bigger business than it's ever been.
Which is good for you.
Yeah, it's good for everybody, right? It's good for the players. The players deserve their share. They're the product ultimately. We wouldn't have it without them. Right. So it's a big business. We all know that. We recognize that. But college athletics, the popularity continues to explode. Yeah. The ratings are at an all-time high. College football, college basketball, both on the men's and women's side. So it's a great time to be a part of college athletics.
The conversation is just getting started. We have more on the other side.
When you were talking about intramurals, I was thinking, okay, so this guy has a journalism background. He could have written like a whole book or a Netflix series out of intramurals, because when I know people I met in intramural sports sometime, they were like, some of those guys, especially if you're playing basketball, they were like, it was Game 7 of the NBA Finals, and it was like, dude, I'm just trying to have fun, man.
No question.
And did you ever run into any of that?
I try to be the guy that's not always talking about the past and just living with this nostalgic sense. But you really want to talk about a Last Chance U Netflix special. We can talk about our time in junior college. I was really fortunate to be a coach in junior college for 3 years, and man, we had some characters and some stories.
You were coach of the year, though, right? Like when you were, what's that, your junior college time?
So I became the head coach at Tallahassee Community College in 2019. So my 2 years as the head coach, our staff, we'd say it's a staff award. We were coach of the year. And fortunately enough. So the guys that have won that award in year one, Steve Forbes, who's now the head coach at Wake Forest, and Chris Jans,
I know those
who was
names.
at New Mexico State and obviously doing a great job at Mississippi State now. So those guys are all Panhandle Conference, Florida JUCO guys. So really fortunate to be in that company. But it's a great league. We had great players. We had 19 Division I signees in 2 years. But yeah, certainly been fortunate. I was a high school head coach 1 year, and the coaches in Louisville, they were silly enough to vote our staff coach of the year as well. So been a head coach 3 years. We've got quite the standard to uphold this year in year 4 as a head coach, first at the Division II level. But we're 3 for 3 on coach of the year so far. But obviously you got to have great players, you got to have great coaches, and I've been fortunate to be in the right place at the right time in a few different scenarios.
So stops at New Mexico State and Tarleton twice. So that opportunity to be hands-on and be your own man and be the head coach, that kind of drew you to Highland, right?
Sure. Yeah, I think when you have control of your own destiny, it's so much more exciting, right? And I feel like I tried extremely hard to recruit the very best players we could as an assistant coach, but at the same time, as an assistant coach, you only have so much control. Right. And for someone like me, I really have the desire to have as much control of our situation as far as who we play, how we recruit, how we practice, how we discipline, all those things. I think because ultimately you've seen how many Division II head coaches have gotten Division I jobs. There have been 3 in the last 24 hours. Kevin Carroll got Lipscomb today. The coach from Minnesota State just got Denver. And then Coach Bronkema got Central Michigan from Ferris State. So you see all these guys that are having success in Division II moving up. But the reality is when you're the leader and everybody's looking at you, that's a different level of pressure, and it's a pressure that I really, really enjoy. I miss that from our junior college days. We had so much fun, and we had great success, and winning is fun too. Yeah,
winning is fun. And you know, the game has changed a little bit. NIL, you know, and Highland, I'm sure, like every school has to adapt now. What do you see as challenges as far as having an NIL budget? I know you guys have a collective. Like, what are going to be some of those challenges to get players and keep players?
So for us, we have to be aggressive, just like we talked about in recruiting. We have to go out and ask people for help, for resources. Winning is not inexpensive. Yeah. No matter what level you're at, Division I, Division II, junior college, winning is not inexpensive. And we're not going to be the school that may have the most resources from a scholarship standpoint. But again, we're going to go out and we're going to try to be aggressive in raising money, both for our scholarship budget and the foundation, and to be able to take care of some of our best players. Because we know it takes money to retain talent, even at this level. But at the same time, we're not going to be a program that's thinking too far ahead. We've got to handle the next 12 months. And in order to have a great 12 months ahead of us, we have to be really aggressive right now in recruiting, which we've been so far and will continue to be, to give us a chance to sign the right guys, the best players, but the right guys that fit, that can be a part of a team concept. But certainly we know NIL is here to stay. Right. You know, at one point I thought, man, this market is really going to self-correct. But I think I underestimated the insanity of college sports fans. Because at one point I thought, okay, well, you know, guys are not going to continue to make $500,000, $1 million. And here we are. It seems like the numbers are going up and up. And so it's exciting. It's an exciting time to be a player at the highest level right now. But certainly, you know, where there's opportunity for guys, there's going to be financial backing. And we've got to be really aggressive in trying to find those people that are willing to help us.
What's your take on this thing getting out of hand to where, you know, like you lose the support of the fans, the game over, you know, and fans are kind of getting weary about the loyalty part. You know, they want to see a guy come in, a player come in and stick around a little bit, you know, because I noticed, like with this last big wave of players jumping in the portal and all these different things going on, like reading some of the fan comments, I saw a lot of stuff I've never seen before. Like, I'm out. I can't do this. You guys, there's no loyalties, nobody, you know, we were just now getting acquainted with that player or whatever, and I'm just going like, I never thought about, you know, some of these fans are like, and you always think, they'll come back, but everybody has a breaking point.
The reality is, at this stage in the game, we have to be realistic and know that it's free agency right now until either Congress or the NCAA puts their foot down and has the legal grounds to put their foot down, that guys are going to continue to test the market. The reason that professional leagues have 2, 3, 4, 5 in baseball, we're saying 12 and 13-year contracts, is because they want to lock guys up at a specific price. Yeah. If people could go and if professionals could go and be a part of free agency every single year, they would do it. So right now, the way the rules are written, it's not the best for the market or for the product. But the reality is that's where we have things right now. And obviously, once we see this settlement happen, I think there will be some things that change. Revenue sharing is coming to college athletics, so some of the money that's going to the players is going to be in-house. I do think we're probably 3 years or less of seeing these athletes become employees of the school, where there are buyouts associated, because I think that the highest level schools will end up signing guys to multi-year contracts. And if you're not coming back for year 2 or year 3, there will be a buyout associated with that, where you may have to give some money back, because really wealthy people are not going to continue to spend recklessly, I don't think.
Yeah.
They have so far, so maybe I'm wrong. But we're going to see some things change structurally within the NCAA. We may see the Power Four breaking away. You just never know. But right now, why would they want to do that? Because the NCAA is in a situation where they're the entity that takes all the heat. They're the entity that has to face these lawsuits on what seems like a weekly or even daily basis at this point. So the reality is we are in a changing, evolving landscape of college athletics, college basketball specifically. The numbers are crazy for these individuals that are playing.
That's
at
why
the
I think there's
highest level.
a breaking point. I think they could keep moving this thing too far, where people are just be like, because there's a lot going on just in people's everyday lives. There's a lot of moving parts all over the place all the time anyway. And then this is where I come to relax and escape. And now you're bringing this money talk and all that stuff into this, and it's just getting crazier and crazier. I think some people are going to tap out at some point. And then the generation that's coming up, they're in the video games, so you're going to be fighting two different spots, like trying to retain the people that love the traditional sports as opposed to these new guys who just like, no, man, give me a couple of games, I'm good.
Sure. I think that's a reasonable thought that people may be turned off. But when you look at the ratings and you see people showing up and see the support, it's the golden goose that keeps giving. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's a breaking point. Because
hopefully, when there is a breaking point, they'll all come up to Las Vegas, New Mexico, and become Highlands fans, and they don't have to give nearly enough to make an impact for us. So let's do it. Go Cowboys! Come on up. We'd love to have you.
Man, where was all this money when I was playing sports?
Yeah, no question. No question.
It was hard to get a donut, man. You walk around with your lip busted, and so, man, I would like a hamburger today. And if people looking at the NCAA is over there, wait, did they buy that? Did he buy it or did they buy it?
Even 10 years ago,
with a pen, waiting to ring you up, man.
No, the rules have changed a little bit, and even now you're still not allowed to buy a guy a hamburger. You can give him $1 million, but no hamburger.
Can't buy no hamburger.
He's got to buy his own. So let's get it straight.
That's right. You're right about that. Yeah, that's insane.
It is. No, we're at that point.
I can't buy you. I can't go over here and just pay a couple of bucks and buy you a burger, but I can give you $1 million. That makes no sense.
It's different.
We
have to hope they continue to show up.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. No question.
Stay with us. More conversation on the other side.
We'll get back to the episode in a moment. Monica Wicki here, host of New Mexico Living. I wanted to let you know that this episode is sponsored by Route 66 Casino and Caesars Sportsbook. If you love sports and like having a little action on the game, Caesars Sportsbook is your go-to destination. For rewards and more info, go to Route66Casino.com. Now back to the episode.
What like when I was asking you about your team, what can people expect as far as they know that team is coached by you? Like, what is your signature?
So year one at Tallahassee, there's 228 Division I junior colleges. We led the country in three-point shots made. So we're going to fire them up there. Now we'll shoot good ones. We want to shoot off the catch. We don't want to shoot off the bounce. We want to shoot off either an inside out or a paint drive by a guard who's going to play off 2 feet and kick it. Yeah. But we're going to play exceptionally hard. We
talk about burning it up.
Yeah, we like to shoot it. We like to fire it up there a little bit. The light's green with us. But at the same time, we're going to guard people. We're going to sit down and be tough. And if you're going to win in March, you have to be able to get stops. We know that, right?
Yeah,
so
you do.
We've got to have a certain level of physicality and a brand of basketball that when they play Highlands, they're going to have to think, man, we don't want to play these guys, right? We know we're in for a dogfight.
You remind me of a football coach, Rocky Long, when he was at New Mexico. I did a story, and I asked all the different schools and a couple of players from the different schools, what game do you hate the most? Every last one of them, without knowing what the other one said, to a man said New Mexico. because they made that thing. So you want to be that kind of tough.
We want you to know after you've played us, you've been in a dogfight, right? And you, hey, where's the ice bath at? Right? So we want to be physical.
We're a little physical, man. Oh, you sure you want to come and drive in the paint?
That's
okay,
right.
come on.
That's right. Yeah, we want 3 guys that can really, really shoot it, and 2 guys that are going to make sure you don't get the ball, so we can go get it and fire it back out and get it back up there.
What kind of schedule we're talking about?
We're excited. Yeah, our schedule. So in Division II, you're allowed to play 28 games. So in the RMAC, there's 20 conference games. There were 4 games that were already contracted outside of conference when I got the job. So we really only had 2 to schedule. But fortunately for us, today we signed a deal to be in the CCA tip-off at Montana State Billings, which will allow us to play 3 games exempt from our schedule. So it'll allow us to play 31 regular season games and play 3 games in 3 days, a week before everyone else starts. So, yeah, next year, Friday, November 14th is the first day that everyone is allowed to start, and that's your conference challenge. So we'll play 2 games against the Lone Star Conference schools. We'll play Eastern New Mexico and Western New Mexico. That's our contract for the next 4 years.
Right away, man. Just like you coming in the room pushing people out the way, huh?
That's right. That's what we're trying to do. Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. But excited. We'll play Nebraska Kearney, Montana State Billings, and one other team up in Montana, which will give us a head start to see where we're at. Obviously, it'll give everyone 3 games of film to have on us before they play, which will be an advantage for them. But we'll know what we've got and kind of have hopefully some kinks worked out before we play the games against the Lone Star schools from our state.
So you talked about shooting threes and being physical. You want to run people off the floor.
We'd like to. Yeah, we'd like to. Yeah, we want to score. We want to put as much pressure on the defense to stop us as we can. We're going to have really fast, dynamic guards that can all shoot. But we want to be the hardest team to guard and the hardest team to play against. You know, defensively, we want you to know if you're going to try to cut through the lane, we're going to be there in the middle of the lane to stop your cut and impede your progress. And when the shot goes up, that's really when the game starts, right? We don't get a stop until we secure the defensive rebound. So when the shot goes up is really when the game starts, and certainly we're going to be as tough as we can on the glass.
So that's the theme. Like you know how people always describing teams saying they're hungry. So you guys want to be the one with the biggest appetite.
We want to be starving dogs, right? We want it to be foaming at the mouth. Yeah, that's how we tried to have our deal at Tallahassee.
Okay.
And we were 46-9 in 2 years. To be honest, I can tell you all about the 9. I can't tell you about the 46 we won, but we lost too many. But the reality was we tried to be the team that no one wanted to play.
All right, New Mexico Highlands, y'all heard that. Cowboys coming for you. Zach Settembre, the new head coach there. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me, man.
Fernando Perez behind the controls. We will see you next time.